Alright, what's going on guys? Your boy Tony Shen. I am back with another melody tutorial. This is part of a series called Melodic Mondays, where every Monday I give you guys more tips on how to make certain melodies. Today I'm going to teach you how to make realistic and emotional sounding piano melodies. But before I get to that, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot to help me grow the community. And I also love sharing knowledge with you guys. And also I'd like to hook you up with a free drum kit. All you have to do is click the link in the description below. Like, you can make amazing piano melodies, but you know what also helps? Smacking drums. So link in the description below, get your free drum kit right now. So the reason I wanted to do this tutorial actually is because I've noticed that a lot of producers, when they make piano melodies, it just doesn't sound right. It just either sounds too robotic or too stiff, or it doesn't sound realistic enough. And yeah, sometimes it's because of the plugins that you use, right? Obviously Keyscape sounds a lot better than FL Keys, but a lot of the times it's just the way that you actually create the melodies, or just like the certain notes that you use when creating these piano melodies, especially when you don't have a keyboard, especially when you're just clicking in notes. It's because a lot of times when you're clicking in notes in the piano roll, you don't always think about how the piano is actually being played, and as a result it sounds kind of dry and robotic. So today I'd like to give you 3 tips on how to make your piano melodies sound very human and realistic. By the end of this video, you should be able to make piano melodies similar to this, where even though I'm using FL Keys and it's like probably one of the most basic piano plugins you're ever going to find, it still sounds pretty emotional and realistic. Right? So let's get straight to the 3 tips. So tip number 1 is to actually understand and to listen to the piano / keys. If you think about it, music is kind of like a language, right? In order for you to understand how to speak the language and communicate with others, you have to first understand how to listen to it and understand it. And that's what we're trying to do with tip number 1, is to understand how the piano is being played. How you would go about doing this, my best recommendation is obviously listening to a bunch of Mozart and like Beethoven piano sonatas isn't going to help you in any way if you're trying to make trap beats or pop beats or whatever you're trying to make. How I would recommend you developing a sense of understanding for the piano and how to understand the instrument better is to listen to piano covers or like piano medleys of songs that you like. Say you like making Juice WRLD type beats and you want to learn how to make piano melodies for Juice WRLD. What I would recommend is to kind of do your research and start to increase your awareness and understanding for the piano, is to look up piano cover of All Girls Are the Same. Or if you make YNW melody type beats, look up the piano cover for Suicidal. Basically, just find ways to expose yourself to the piano so that you can increase your understanding of the piano, and then listen more and train your ears to understand how a real piano is supposed to sound. So that's tip number 1, understand the piano. Tip number 2 is, this is more of a practical tip, is to make your melodies imperfect. So here's the melody that I demonstrated in the beginning, right? If we actually go into the pattern, you can see that it's very imperfect and offset. You're never gonna get the keys perfectly on time. If you look at the pattern, it's a little bit offset. In some places, it's pretty clear that it's offset. But that makes it sound more interesting, because no matter how good a piano player is, he or she will never play it perfectly on time. So if it's too on time and if you quantize it too hard, it just takes away that level of humanity and makes it sound more dry and boring. And also, if you look at the velocities, you can see it's kind of random and not the same. That just makes it sound more human, because no matter how good of a piano player you are, you're never gonna hit this key at the same velocity every single time for every key. I'm gonna show you how to achieve this effect, right? So let's go to pattern 2 actually, where I quantized everything. You see everything's perfectly on time, right? Perfectly on the grid. And then also the velocity is the exact same. So I'm gonna play you this melody. As you can tell, it sounds more boring and dull, right? So here's how you could kind of make it sound more human and randomize it and make it sound more imperfect. So all you would do first is to fix the timing issue. So offset the notes just a little bit. That way it just gives it a more human feel, right? So all you have to do is hit Alt S and open the Strumizer tool, and then just, play around with this. as you can see, the notes are being offset just a little bit. And instantly, and you can even go further, like highlight certain notes, right? And then hold shift and then the scroll button, and that also offsets it a little bit. And then just be random with it, right? Select a few random notes and then just offset it a little bit. Instantly, it gives it a more human feel. Second thing we could do is to randomize the velocity. So that kind of creates the effect of a human playing where every key doesn't sound the exact same in terms of loudness and velocity. What you can do is hit Alt R, that opens the randomizer, and then just go to velocity. As you can see, it randomizes the effect of the velocity. So now let's accept this. Instantly, it just makes the piano sound more realistic, and we're using FL keys right now. Again, another very crucial and important tip to make your piano melodies sound more realistic is to make it more imperfect. Now, the third and last tip that I have for you today is to not make the melody too complicated. A lot of the times we get carried away and we want to fill up as much space as possible, and we end up making just the most complicated piano melody. But if you think about it, we only have 2 hands and 10 fingers. Like, a real piano player would never be able to go 3 octaves on a keyboard and like do the crazy stuff that you can do by clicking in notes on a piano roll. So if you look at a crazy melody like this, I'm gonna play it on a piano. Like, it sounds pretty cool. It might work for, you know, like a more synthetic type beat. You know, if you use crazy synths or like bells, it might sound cool, but for a piano melody, it's never gonna sound realistic, just because it's pretty much impossible for you to play this type of melody on a piano realistically. Just because there's too much stuff going on. There's like 3 different melodies going on. There's a bass line, there's also like a mid melody line here. It's just too crazy. You only have 2 hands and 10 fingers to play the keys with. That's pretty much impossible to achieve with this type of pattern. So make it something that's like actually achievable, right? Think about it this way. You have one bass line, right, with your left hand, and then one lead line with your right hand. And you use your left hand for chords, but don't make it too complicated. Don't have like 5 different melodies within that one pattern just for your piano. It's not gonna sound realistic. So there you have it. 3 tips on how to make your piano melodies sound super realistic. And once you have this down, you'll be able to create amazing piano melodies that draw the listener in instantly because they feel like a real player is playing it, even though this is just FL keys. So if you found this video to be useful, please hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. And also get my free drum kit. That's all I gotta say. Thank you and peace out.